off is Owen Tippett, turbocharge time. Tippett spins, backhander, he scores! Somehow, he just one-upped himself from the other night.
Franchise record of 68 points in a game. Chance at 70. Embiid, coast to coast for 70.
Final half minute of this third quarter. Eagles try to retake the lead. Hurts, complete, where the tackle is Brown, to the end zone, touchdown, Philadelphia. The 1-2 pitch. Hit toward third. Castro has it, spins, fires, a perfect game. Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia Phillies history. He faces 27 batters. He retires all 27. In this building, start things off as the puck is deflected near the Pittsburgh button. Crosby is back to the ice with a hard hitter. And now Yager trying to play it ahead, but it's knocked away. Picked up here though by Giroux. Touchdown! Iverson, bothered by Lou. Iverson. How about that? That steps over Teron Lou. They're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
What's going on, everybody? Talking 215. We have a familiar face back in the building. Tommy Steaks, T-Bone, Tomahawk, whatever you want to call him, sir.
What's up, Tom?
What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? I mean, I've been the main character. They always say don't become the main character on Twitter, and that was me today. So, you know, and I tweeted it out, and I just want to start by saying someone that was giving me hell earlier about my takes commented right away when I said we're hopping on live and said, oh, who would have known it was all that stuff earlier was just rage bait for views. Fuck you, man. Watch the show, tune in if you want to see what I'm going to say. If you want to know what my opinion is, if you're trying to make a villain out of somebody and not give them a chance to talk, then call it rage bait if you want, but I'm here to say what I got to say.
Exactly. No, man, whatever gets the views. I mean, honestly, when people were giving us shit about going to
yeah, we know that all too well.
Look,
but
man,
you just generated traction. That's all it is.
It's an authentic thing to do, though, because I was on the podcast where you thought of that idea, and it wasn't like you were like, man, this is going to blow us up. You were like genuine about actually wanting to rally the team.
I said it 12 days before we did it. And I said, guys, if they lose, this was before the game even happened. If they lose, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
And what did I say? I said they're not going to lose 3 straight. There's no way.
No,
what did I know, right?
Dude, I don't know. You know who might have lost 3 straight? That's the Chip Kelly Eagles.
Oof.
They lost a little more than 3 straight.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Kidding. What? But look, man, you sparked, like, obviously Shady D-Jack's talking on the podcast and everything about the truth behind the Chip Kelly era and all that. I caught a lot of the snippets, a lot of the hot takes. I got you talking about it. You know, Tommy T-Bone Tomahawk Steaks he's my go-to for all things Philadelphia Eagles and all things surrounding the birds. I'm just like, I'm reading into you, reading into what you're saying. You kind of lit the fuse, and then Eagles Twitter just blew up, man.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, I think I'll say this. I regret how I positioned what I was trying to say because it was poorly timed. And that's really what people got. And I don't blame people for thinking like the minute they saw what I said, they were like, he's defending Chip Kelly. And because these guys are like, I don't pay it. I don't listen to podcasts. So I saw they were like planning an episode, but like it happened today, didn't it? Didn't they drop that episode today? So it was like really poorly timed on my part to say something like that because it felt like I was defending the moves. And in reality, that's not what I was trying to say. And it probably wasn't the day to have that conversation with how much emotion was being kind of pushed toward Chip Kelly's fallout with the Eagles and trading 2 players that we were very fond of and they're very beloved.
Yeah.
And I just think it was a bad day for that conversation. That doesn't mean my opinion's any different today. You know, like, we could have the conversation
when they were, when
they were at the height of their emotions. And I could say I definitely reacted a little emotionally and didn't consider, the fact that you could be a legend for a lot of different things. I mean, Matt Stairs, when you ran the intro of the Talking 215 intro, I was thinking back to like Matt Stairs hitting a bomb.
Stairs
that made him
rips one into the night.
And you could just say like casually, like, oh yeah, he's a legend. You know what I mean? But it's like when we're talking about legends in Philadelphia, on the Eagles specifically, it has become a crowded room.
Okay.
And you can't just give labels like legend to everybody. That's not something you just pass out like a badge of honor, participation trophy, anything like that. When I think of Eagles legends now, I think of great players on teams that were significant playoff contenders at the very least. I've seen 3 Super Bowls now. I've seen the Eagles in 4 really distinct eras, and 3 of them had a Super Bowl. Now, unfortunately, Shady and Djax ended up playing for a team that was transitioning out of Andy Reid into a bad coach. And it was like a period where they needed to find themselves. Since that time, the Eagles have been one of the best run organizations. And it sucks that Shady and Djax, 2 great players, great talents, ended up getting the short end of the stick in that situation. But that's how it happened. And that's how I view it. And that's how I felt about that team, is they just weren't that good. And they'll always be beloved players to me. But right now, if I'm talking legends, I have 4 or 5 guys that I could say. I made a list of 10, way too long. Give me 4 or 5 guys, and I'm cutting it off there. And that's no disrespect to anybody else. No disrespect to anybody else.
You got the Mount Rushmore, and those are the only legends.
The Eagles Mount Rushmore.
Those are my legends. Everybody else is a beloved, great player who was great and contributed. But when you want to throw that word around, you better have guys that are real legends, like not, he's a legend. Oh, he's a legend. He doesn't have to pay for another drink again. There's a billion guys like that. Yeah. What makes the top tier legend? Like what?
Nick Foles can't just.
Yes, Nick Foles is a legend.
Nick Foles is a legend. We've had this back and forth before. He's got a statue.
As of right now, Nick Foles is the Super Bowl MVP to the most, greatest accomplishment in Eagles history to date right now. And that's just what it is. Like you can't, that to me is legendary status. Great. Like I understand the argument for Shady, and I'm not asking anyone to not look at you. Look, I'll say this too. Enough people think you're a legend. And clearly I learned today that enough people think those two guys are legends. You can call them legends if you want. I personally have harsher criteria for that word. We could really, really nitpick and split hairs about a word, but I'm just trying to distinctly create tiers of like what if you were like, hey, Eagles legends, best Eagles teams, most memorable Eagles moments. I'm starting with wins. I'm starting with big wins. I'm not starting with the snowball. I'm sorry. It was a fun game, but it's a fun game. That's what it was, a unique,
it was a regular season game that really ultimately didn't end up meaning much.
Right.
It's memorable. Like these guys have a place in our heart.
Yeah.
And it sucked to see McCoy go and have 2-3 good years in Buffalo.
Yeah, same with Djax.
I was like, dang, man, when Djax went over to the Commanders, I was like, don't you dare, don't you dare.
He ate us up, man.
He killed us too. He killed us every time we played him. No, it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, because I've made my point on retiring jerseys very clear. I think it's dumb. Like I think it's stupid. Like you're gonna run out of damn numbers.
We're doing it right now.
Like you're gonna run out of numbers.
Number 99 in hockey should be released. Is that what you're saying?
Look, like I get Jackie Robinson.
Yes.
Like I get that. That's like a sport encompassing thing.
That's like that's more of like a political rights and like justice.
There should be very clear cut criteria.
If there was like an all-time player that died while he was on that team playing, okay, I can justify like he's
Right.
he's already a legend because of the wins, because of the stats combined, and he passed in the middle of him playing. Like, okay, but no, I'm with you. There's way, way, way too many legends things, and I think you said the two words right there. And we were talking to Coach. Shout out Coach in the Talking 215 group chat. People mix up beloved and legendary.
Right.
way too
Fine line.
often.
Yeah.
We're not.
Fine line.
We're not, and I'm not even 100. Like, I'm more on your side than I am on theirs, but I'm not. Like, I think narrowing legend down to 4 is a little tight, but I hear you on that. But I completely agree. Too many people take loved players and put them as legends. Because do the Eagles even have a legendary running back in their history?
No,
do they have a legendary running
Like
back?
that's another thing. It's like Shady's the leading rusher. He ran for 1,000 yards 4 seasons. Like he's not like
Very
LaDainian
good
Tomlinson.
running back,
Yeah, a very good running back. That was
Not a-
one of the best in the
he's-
league when he
he's the
played. Don't
best.
get me
he had
wrong.
he had a 3-year stretch where he was elite.
And he's the best that the Eagles have had. Does that make
Right,
him legendary,
He's
though?
top 3 the Eagles have had. Yeah. Brian Westbrook did a lot other than just running the ball.
Yeah,
he
true.
did.
But he's
he
not a
did,
legend
right.
either. He's a beloved, very, very good, great.
Right.
You could put him in great Eagle, not a legend. And I
And-
love
and-
Brian Westbrook, one of my all-time favorite Eagles, but he's not an Eagles legend.
Right. And I had him. I was debating like because he's beloved to me so much because of that 04 team and that era. But when you think about that team, you can't pick every guy that was good on that team. And if you go back and you just run through each era, like I guess each era has those guys, right? And in Shady and Djax were
You got Hall
those
of Famers
guys in that
every
era.
era of Eagles football.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. But like when you're just talking, and then people were throwing the Barry Sanders. Well, he didn't ever win a Super Bowl or win anything significant. Well, the Lions, that's the best they've had. Think about it. Relative to the Detroit Lions, who are the best players they've ever had? Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders, probably.
Yeah.
Like, and there's
Yeah, I
probably
mean, Calvin
guys that I'm
Johnson's
not
the top 5 wide receiver of all time.
right. And there's
Legend.
probably guys that I
Calvin
don't
Johnson is a
know.
legend.
Yes, exactly. And they're like, well, they never won anything. Yeah, but the room isn't crowded in Detroit. Like the standard isn't that high to become a legend in Detroit. Like, and those guys also, by the way, are all-time legends as well. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know if I'd call Shady and Djax some of the best like players of their time, but I wouldn't call them like it's not like Larry Fitzgerald
yeah.
or
I mean, Djax is a deep threat. He's a deep
right.
threat.
He's an all-time deep threat.
Yeah,
and
he's an
that give, I
all-time
would,
deep threat. Not
I
even
would-
deep threat
yeah.
legend. He's an all-time deep threat.
First
Right.
ballot all-time deep threat, sure.
Yeah, if you had
Right,
the all-time
right.
deep threat award, he's on that list.
Yeah.
and it made him a great receiver. Like I loved him. By the way,
Yeah.
everybody online talking shit. Everyone's asking me. People were like, I was at the home opener, and when Deshaun came back and the stadium was shaking, I'm like, dude, I've been to every goddamn game. What are you
Tom,
telling
I
me?
was there. You're Tom,
I was there
too.
too.
Yeah.
I was there too, and they're trying to play it like I've never heard the stadium that loud. I'm like, because you've probably been to 4 games.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? You're telling me about? I was at Djax's first game as a pro and Shady McCoy's, so I don't want to hear that. Like, don't try to play me with that. Though. Oh, I was at the game and I heard how loud the crowd was. What? Are you kidding me? How many get like? Come on, man. Like,
Let me hit you with a gotcha here, though. Brian Dawkins, legend,
yes,
I
I
say
believe he
legend.
is.
didn't win.
Longevity, was on a team that won the NFC one year, which is
Oh, no,
sad.
I completely agree. He's a legend. I
Right.
was playing a little gotcha.
Yeah,
Little
right,
gotcha
and
here.
people- I mean, people ask that.
Joe Flacco. Is Joe Flacco a legend? He's got a
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Super
I mean, for the
Bowl.
Ravens,
Yeah.
he's got to be
No,
for the Ravens.
Joe Flacco is not a legend.
For the Ravens, not an
He,
NFL
he
legend.
definitely is. No, he's Joe Flacco is 100% a Ravens legend. He won a Super Bowl.
Exact
That-
fact.
that
He
D-
nearly was a
that-
Browns legend.
that DA nearly was. That defense won him that. It wasn't
Mm.
Joe.
Joe did a damn good job.
Yeah, but he was very clutch. He was very clutch. Like if you watch, he had early in his career, he was like the first like rookie or something quarterback. I would have to look this up. I'm gonna botch it, but he had like more road playoff wins in the first like 2 years of his career than anyone ever had. Like he was like 3-0 on the road. I mean, it's not a crazy thing, but like he was
Yeah,
clutch. Like he
getting
was
done.
clutch. He was clutch. Like he
No,
was
for sure.
he was like an Eli Manning. Like he was not a regular season quarterback. He'd kind of figure it out. And then in the playoffs, he turned into like, oh, I'm hitting every throw. Like he was definitely it wasn't a Dilfer situation. I'll put it that way. Like I wouldn't say Trent Dilfer is a legend in Baltimore, but I'd say Joe Flacco definitely is. And then some of that comes down to longevity too, whether you win or not.
Yeah.
Whether you win or not, Dawkins was on the team for what? 10, 11, 12 years. Like he was drafted in the 90s and he played till what was it? 08?
Yeah.
09, something like that. So, I mean, yeah, and that's going to make me look bad. Oh, you don't even know when Dawkins played. Come on. That's I'm all over the place. But no, it's alarming when people really try to make somebody out to be like less of a fan and a villain because of a differing opinion. There are other things I'd say are good to disqualify someone, but we don't see the same thing in a player. It's like you can't really like, you can't say anything about that. It's experience based. That's another thing for me. It's like I have younger friends that think Djax and Shady are legends because that was like their childhood. Same way McNabb and them were my child. So it's like I see why you'd say that. But for me, the experience is a little different, and that's kind of what I was trying to say. And I don't think people really wanted to hear it. I think that it started becoming about different things than just football, and that's kind of what it was. So
and look,
it is what it is.
If we want to really go back into hindsight and butterfly effect and everything, what would this Eagles team even look like had they kept Shady and Djax?
Right. I mean, you never know.
This team could be
you never know.
117. Howie Roseman could have never regained possession. This
right.
I mean, in the same breath, you could say they could have figured something out and went on a glorious run, but
right. So
because of all these decisions, we ended up getting Carson Wentz, who started the year.
We wouldn't have been Super Bowl without. Let's be honest.
I mean, he started the year so hot. He got us into that playoff before we got hurt. I mean, we had clinched that playoff spot. Gave Nick Foles the opportunity to go out and get Super Bowl MVP. Yeah. The butterfly effect, as Jake said, it put all these wheels in motion. Would we have 3 Super Bowls without Chip Kelly being the head coach? No, probably not.
No, exactly.
But we have won because of this man's decisions. And as Jake just said, Howie getting more control. Yep. The Kyle Schwarber of the draft, he's hit some home runs recently. And the team is rebuilt. The team is strong.
Yeah, and I look at it, I made an analogy earlier. I look at it like it really does, like I said this earlier on the live as well. It sucks that we kind of had to use that little period of time when Andy Reid burned out and Chip Kelly came in, and we had to make mistakes and learn from that to become what we are right now. Yeah. And it sucks that we had to kind of waste Deshaun Jackson and Shady McCoy's talent doing that. And that's going to forever taint how I remember them because of the team's odd standing and what was going on. And it's not their fault, but I can't change what happened. And it is what it is. I can appreciate them, but they didn't get a proper chance to become a legend to me. Again, enough people think they're legends. But to me, when I think that Mount Rushmore, I think of the guys on the teams that I saw deep in the playoffs and that had that longevity and that were around. And unfortunately, they weren't around long enough and they didn't get the opportunity. They weren't around long enough. They weren't great long enough and they weren't winning with the team. And those are the things. They were great players in their own rights, but those are the things that make you a team legend to me. And I don't have those memories of them.
No, exactly. Like the great guys, some awesome games, a Snow Bowl. I mean, Deshaun Jackson in the
Miracle at the Meadowlands too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was amazing. I thought of that a lot today when people were ripping on me. I was like, man, this guy gave me Miracle at the Meadowlands too, and I'm on here trying to say
memorable. It's so fun to think back and look. But that's all we're doing. We're thinking back. We're reminiscing about these good players,
great players, not legends.
Gave us fun times.
Yeah, but like even let's say they keep them. That team's not winning a Super Bowl.
No, it's not guaranteed.
No,
it's not guaranteed.
Bad teams make the Super Bowl. Yeah. You've probably seen bad teams win the Super Bowl. I don't think that's a Super Bowl team. Obviously, the
No.
team that was made in spite of them wasn't a Super Bowl team either. Like, let's not
Right.
say like, oh, them
Right.
leaving
Right.
made our team worse. I'm not saying
Yes.
them leaving,
Yeah.
like, but them being there, you could
The
you could argue,
mistakes.
you could argue, like we said, it leaves them in that mindset of, oh, we're close. We don't
Yeah,
need to do
exactly.
this. Like, we're right there. And it could set them way back. How many times have you seen teams chasing, oh, we're close? Like the Bills, they've been close.
We tried it.
And now they blew that shit
they-
up.
But yeah,
The
Yep.
Bills,
We-
who knows what they're going to
look
look
at
like
their
this
wide
year.
receiver room. Like, recognize
Yeah.
any of those players. But
Wow.
the problem with the Chip Kelly and everything that happened with Djax and Shady is not necessarily that they left. It was the media presence and everything leading up to it. What we got for those two players, because
we
he
got
was
nothing.
he was throwing
We
the
replaced them
gang
with nothing.
affiliations, and they were like, yeah, we
Yeah.
sold them off for pennies on the dollar. I mean, we could have
Yeah, I
built
did.
some real capital for it.
Yeah, I didn't like how he was moving as a GM at all, or as his intentions behind it, as what they said, Shady and Djax, about how he would interact with certain players, the black players on the team.
Yeah.
Terrible.
We can't speak on those kinds of things and relate to them. All we can say is, I'm really freaking sorry that happened, because that is terrible. Like,
That's
I hate
awful.
hearing. It's not that I hate hearing about it. I want to hear about it because I want people to be honest and upfront and tell us those kinds of things. So as fans, we can be loud about it and say it's disgusting and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
It has no place. And that's part of what the problem was. And probably the biggest issue was that we didn't have a like connectivity in the leadership. Like, if Djax and Shady were on our team right now in their prime, it would be awesome. Like, they'd be great.
I'd take
They'd
it
be
back in a
great. They're great talents. Yeah, they're great
Can you
talents.
imagine a
It's
Djax
just-
level deep threat with Smitty and AJ?
Oh.
Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, or just
Cameo.
like, even if he replaced, like, if Smitty was back then and Djax was now, it'd be like Djax and AJ as your receivers. Like, that would have been like, imagine
now,
it. Like,
now people are going to be like, oh, he doesn't like Smitty. Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. Oh my
Got him.
God,
Tom
go goodness.
Devontae Smith is a bad
Yeah.
football player. Wow.
yeah, no, but I mean, like, anything, like, they're great talents, like you said, but really being a legend, you have to kind of get a little lucky and be the benefit out of being on a great team and being part of a great team. And that's kind of the first step for me. And it's really all I was trying to say, that entire interaction. And, it kind of went left, and, I wish it didn't go that far. I wish I wouldn't have provoked people that far. But I wasn't trying to. I was being authentic in how I felt. I just feel like,
no regrets. You said what you said.
yeah,
you
absolutely
stand by
not.
it.
Yeah.
If
it
anybody
is what
wants
it
to
is,
hop
man.
on, you see
Yeah,
the call-in number.
You
Come debate
disagree
us.
with Tom. You disagree
Right.
with us. Call in.
Right.
You know where to
Yeah.
reach us.
We'd love
Let
to.
us
Yeah.
know.
We'd love to.
I'm down to
argue.
talk. I'm
No,
down
exactly.
to have that talk.
No, exactly. We're sitting here. We're enjoying some Surfsides. Of obviously, we would like to
Yeah.
be drinking our
Oh, we got
delicious
'em right
Deweys,
here. I want to crack into
but-
these so bad.
but we're giving them away to you for free. So we want to hold on to as many as we can, because
Yes.
obviously at the Talking 215 Phillies tailgate, you're getting the Deweys for free. We got the summer camp, the El Tronos, and the Swishy Pants. The three big killer beers.
we
that
got
they
a
have.
ton of these koozies. It's
Yeah,
two
the
different
classic Dewey
colors.
beers.
Well, yeah, what they send us, like 150 hats.
Yeah, we got hats.
we have so
we got
much stuff
koozies
to give away.
And then shout out Tackle Up. Obviously, you see us wearing the sweet merch. You see the
Yep.
the Tackle Up koozie.
Is May 19th. We will be there 8:30 a.m. G lot, G spot.
G spot.
Come play bucket golf, win some Dewey swag, drink some delicious Dewey beer, hang out. Check out the Dollar Dog shirts. It is on their site. Use promo code Talking215, get 50% off, free shipping over $75. And join us on Sundays.
Exactly. But look, call lines open. We'd love to have you in there. 8:30 a.m. is insane. It most certainly is. That's when the lot's open, and we want to guarantee
Yes.
that we get our spot. So we get there at 8:30. Not fun. And nobody's there until about 10:30.
It gives us time to
But-
cook some breakfast,
Yeah, we
and
make a little-
we get
little
everything
brekkie.
set up. We practice bucket golf. I mean, me and Jake have been
Yeah.
playing so much bucket. You're not
Why
beating
not?
our score. We don't even write our score on the scoreboard anymore.
You can't.
But yeah, we are there. Come visit us.
Exactly. But look, you see the number there. Call in. We'll get you on. You want to argue with Tom? Tom is the best guy. Look, there he is, Taylor. See you at 11. Exactly. She knows. She's
Perfect.
like, look, I'll be there. Not until 11.
All right. We'll have some cold beer ready for you at 11.
Exactly. But look, Tom, the all things almighty Eagles guy, you can argue with him. And look, Tom, like I get it. And I appreciate what you're saying. Like, I wish people understood a little bit better. I understand emotions are high, but you're also like, and I agree with you, like stand behind it. No, like I said it, I mean it. Like,
oh yeah, no doubt. I'm authentic in what I said.
Of course.
The only regret is that I wish people, I wish we could have had more chill conversations. It went a little left at times.
There's no back and forth on Twitter.
It's X. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's got a little X-rated. People accusing me of different crazy things. People that even know me too a little more than that are questioning me, and it's not that deep. It's just not that deep to me. Like I'm passionate about it, but at some point we got to just say, okay, you think they're legends. I don't view them. Wasn't my experience. That's not how I define it. And we just have to accept that we have different definitions. How many of these idiots? You know what I mean?
I'm not going to call other Eagles fans idiots. That's
distinguished gentlemen and gentle ladies. How many of these other people are sitting here ripping on the Cowboys, saying, "Oh, they're a legend. What the hell did they win? Oh, those stats are cute. First round exit." Like, so you sit there and you're going to rip on Cowboys fans for saying like. And look, I'm gonna rip on him too. Let's be honest. Like, come on, I'm not here. And don't go taking this saying, "Oh, he's defending Cowboys fans." I'm not.
Right? No, I said the same thing earlier.
I'm ridiculing you, Philadelphia, for saying, "How are you going to sit here and be like, oh, Tom, you don't like Shady, you don't like Djax, they're not legends. What were they bad?" Saying all this shit to him, and then you're tweeting out, "Oh, here's a Cowboys fan, Dak, garbage time, Dak, check down Dak. Oh, call him a legend. What has he won? Okay, what did Shady win? I love Shady." Love him. One of, if not the greatest Eagles running back of all time. But the Eagles do not have a legendary running back.
Yeah.
Djax, one of, if not the greatest Eagles, he's the greatest Eagles deep threat of all time.
He managed to win something, but not with the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, Deshaun never won. Shady's got a couple Super Bowls.
Nah, Djax left that Rams team mid-season.
Oh, he left. Yeah.
He was on that Rams team making plays too, and I'm like, oh man. Didn't like his role, said, I don't like this, went to the Raiders, and the Rams went and won the Super Bowl.
And I believe if he went somewhere or if he left and then was a free agent, I believe he'd get a ring if he played a certain amount of time on that team and didn't go to another team that same season.
Right.
I'm not 100%. I believe he would have gotten the ring
behind that either, honestly. That's crazy. But Shady got to be honest, though, Shady did win it. Shady won 2 rings. I'm pretty sure he was a Bucks backup and the Chiefs backup in back-to-back years.
I think he has a combined 2 snaps in the Super Bowl if he played at all.
Yeah. But like that's not Eagles anyway. That's not Eagles regardless. And we're talking Eagles legends, like the same. Like I said the same thing that you said about the Cowboys thing. It's like, we rag on them all the time for like elevating their players to elite status when they play well in regular seasons and break all these records and statistical benchmarks, and then they don't win anything. So how are we going to, like, that's exactly what I said. I'm like, well, those are really good players. Like we always say, we give them credit. Like I know CeeDee Lamb is a good player. I know Dak Prescott is a good player, but our and I bet that, and somebody brought up Dez Bryant to me today and was like, would you say Dez Bryant's not a legend in Dallas because he never won anything? And I said, I personally don't have the right to say anything because I'm not a Cowboys fan, so I don't really care. But I'm sure there are people in Dallas that think Dez Bryant is a legend that are younger and stuff, maybe even older. And then there's probably people that grew up on Irvin and think these guys are a freaking joke. Like, you think they're hyped up off Romo and Dak when they saw Aikman and Staubach? Like, come on. Like, probably Dez
Bryant is a very, very good receiver.
Yeah,
but not a legend. Not a Cowboys legend. There's so many other people in that conversation.
Yeah, I think Tom said it great. Like, I'm not going to call a Cowboys legend a legend. Like, I'm not going to. That's not my team.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't really care. But I bet the same. I bet this
on the Cowboys legends.
I bet the same debate goes on in Dallas that they say some guys that are older say, "Oh no, these guys stink. They're not built for the playoffs." When I grew up, Emmett and Aikman oh my gosh, they were so much more clutch than Zeke and Dak and all this, and you guys are same kind of conversation. Like it's the same thing.
Perfect example. Is Saquon Barkley a Giants running back legend?
No. Now he's certainly
and it's Can he be an Eagles legend? We'll see. If he plays for like 14 years.
In his 3 years,
I mean,
it's nuclear and we win 2 Super Bowls, maybe.
But he's not
300 yards in the Super Bowl.
But
all right.
They're all waving him off because he came to the Eagles. He went right down the turnpike, and here he is at a better team, better home, better fit, hopefully. Kellen Moore, let's go. Shout out.
And you know what's funny, Jake? You brought it up. You started to get into it a little bit earlier about being really like close, or just maybe not thinking you're even close, but just being like a fringe playoff team like the Eagles were in those years. And instead of like continuing to chase being a little better, just blowing it up. And I don't know if Chip Kelly had that. Like, he obviously wasn't purposely trying to tank, but the same city has a basketball team that around the same time started the process. And for some reason, when we started getting rid of guys on a fringe playoff team, it was such a bigger deal. And it was acted like we're destroying our whole franchise. And I never agreed with it. And I know there are a lot of people that don't agree with it. And it's a very similar situation. Like to me, it's a very similar. You had a team that wasn't built to be a real playoff contender. So instead of continuing to try to reach for it, you just blew the whole thing up. And that's kind of what happened to the Eagles in a way. And the Eagles delivered the damn championship. And the Sixers were still waiting on the Sixers. And for some reason, that's all like, well, who cares? Like, Chip Kelly ruined the team. And it's like, look, I don't think the guy knew what the hell he was doing. And I think he was a piece of shit and wasn't a good fit. And all that, everything everyone says, 100% facts. But I think that getting rid of some of those guys reset the franchise. Maybe we didn't know it at the time, but it ended up working out and being good. And I think that sometimes you need that kind of reset. And unknowingly, we needed that.
It's magic math. He fell backwards into success. Like, he is better because he did so poorly and got us where we are. You know, you're absolutely correct. He was way out of his league.
Yeah.
Didn't really know what he was doing. Did not have the locker room on his side. And that's a death blow right there. If you're an NFL coach, this isn't college.
Yeah, I mean, what was the big talk this season was, they lost the locker room. Like, and that was like, Sirianni, is he going to be fired? Like, reports are the locker room's in shambles. But then you obviously heard players, Fletcher Cox really stood up for him.
Yeah, coming
Jason
out and
Kelsey came out and really
he's got it.
Yep. And then you had Kenny Gainwell talking on a podcast the other day. And I want to bring you up, and I want to get your opinion on that, Tom. Kenny Gainwell talking about how, the Chiefs, they're so successful. They feel like they have a ton of support, a lot of continuity from the top office down. And people were like, how dare Kenny Gainwell say that and everything? How dare? And I was just like, weren't we all season saying, man, this offensive and defensive coordinator have no fucking idea what they're doing. We need to get rid of them. They have no communication with their players. There's obviously some going on. And all Kenny Gainwell did was confirm what we were saying. And now everyone's like, how dare he? He's not what a terrible locker room guy. Like, what are you talking about? He said what we were saying, but because he can't say it, and he said it about, he didn't name them outright, but we all can assume he was talking about the offensive and defensive coordinator. He wasn't talking about Howie Roseman.
Right.
He wasn't talking about Julian Lurie. He was talking about fucking Brian Johnson, Sean Desai, and Matt Patricia. Yeah. And they're all gone.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what else? And I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, everybody knew there was like communication issues. I mean, the reason he probably kind of tried to make it sound like, it was everyone, was because he didn't want to single anyone out. But we all knew, we all saw there was definitely a disconnect between play calling and players and whose role was this and how to combat certain things. And it was like, I saw people on Twitter
if there wasn't a problem.
No, exactly. And keeping like the coach and the GM, like, you didn't clean complete house. You got rid of the things that people were probably like, all right, we need to kind of switch these up. And I saw people on Twitter breaking down the darn blitz. I'm trying not to curse, so I'm saying like freaking and darn. Because I came right out and said the F word like the minute the show started. So I'm trying to chill.
Go right ahead.
But at the end of the day, like, we all saw that disconnect, and I kind of lost what I was saying there. But Kenny, he just was being honest about what it was, and he didn't single anybody out. And I think that the fact that what I was going to say was people on Twitter were breaking down the fact that we couldn't adjust to a blitz. People on Twitter were breaking that down, and we literally didn't adjust to it week after week after week. There was a problem. There was a big problem.
Yeah. No, and I agree. If he was on that podcast and he was like, man, Brian Johnson, what a moron that guy was. Like, okay, that's a problem. Like,
I mean, you don't
players in the NFL, you don't badmouth guys name like specifically. Unless it's another player and you're like trying to do like a rivalry beef thing. Like, okay,
yeah, that's like no, but that's code.
Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, that can be fun.
You
like,
know.
that can be
Right. Unless it's a legit beef, it's code. You don't like disrespect a guy in the media by name or anything like that. And the guys that do that, it never ends well for them, like regardless.
Ever. And so like, and I can also understand people being a little bit upset, like, all right, you don't really say that. We all know it, but you don't always say it. But I don't really have a problem with what he said. Like he kind of came out, skirted the line. And you always see, like when freaking Steven Nelson had Darius Slay on, and Darius Slay was saying something like people took that 30-second clip. And was like Darius Slay, the captain of the defense, hates Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're going for sound bites. They're going for clips.
No, he was literally saying like, I had more money to go to Baltimore, but I like Philly's my spot. Like I ride with Philly. I'm staying here. Some people, you can't take it. You mentally need to check out Steven Nelson. Goodbye. Like you want to talk about guys, you want to talk about legends, and you want to talk about the exact polar opposite. Nelson, like you're a nothing. Who are you sitting here saying, "Oh, I needed to get out of Philly for my mental health"? Okay, great. You address your mental health. Like I'm a big advocate for doing whatever's best for your mental health. But obviously, you weren't built for this, and obviously, you weren't built for much because you were a nothing in the NFL for most of, if not all, of your career. So, like all of this to say, like you can get the tiniest little thing, and especially in Eagles Twitter. And look, I might lose a follower for it, but I'll do the same thing. I'll overreact to things just like everybody else is. We're all prone to it.
That's how social media. That's how social media works.
Yeah, we're passionate fans,
and it's reactionary. Like you're not saying safe. Our like hot takes, our bets that we did however many weeks ago. We're not going safe over unders here.
No,
we're doing hot takes because we're trying.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley, 2,000 all-purpose yards for the season. That's my big take for the year.
Yeah,
I think he'll have at least 500 receiving yards, and if he has like whatever it is, he'll have enough rushing yards to make it 2,000 all-purpose. I think he could possibly go like 1,400 rushing, 600 receiving.
And if he gets 2,000 all-purpose, we're all high-fiving you. Great job. If he doesn't, then we're all laughing at you. But at least you put it out there. Yeah. At least you had a take. You're not just like, Saquon Barkley will probably get 1,400 total yards.
Saquon Barkley, Eagles legend.
Yeah. That's a take right there.
Yeah. But not to be honest, like Kenny Gainwell got the same reaction Brayton Covey kind of did when he said it.
Yeah.
And everyone was like freaking out about that. And it's like, you kind of want your fringe roster guys to come out and be like the crust on your sandwich. You know what I mean? Like you don't want like Jalen Hurts coming out and saying that. You know what I mean? You don't want the lead
that are very fringe to let them get it out.
Yeah, exactly. Let them kind of tell us like confirm what was going on, because the main guys aren't going to come out and say that. They barely do press like that. In the off season and stuff. So, and like Jason Kelsey's not going to say it on his podcast, like that's not going to come. So I don't mind these guys being real and transparent, and that's okay to me. So yeah, I have no issue with it. No issue with it.
No, exactly. And to kind of circle back to what we were talking about like 10 minutes ago, like you see it, teams, the worst possible place you can be is making the playoffs and always bounce in the first round. Like the Sixers are in the worst possible place they can be. The Flyers should have blown it up early. Like they went on a run, and we want playoff hockey back in Philadelphia, but none of us thought they had any kind of realistic shot. So I was kind of saying all year, like, look, I love Travis Konechny. Sell high.
Mm-hmm.
You get a shit ton for him. Sell high on him. Sean Couturier, I said at the beginning of the season, love Sean Couturier, one of the best two-way players the Eagles have ever had, or the Flyers have ever had. He's not a legend. Neither is Travis Konechny. But like, sell these guys high, because you're in a situation where you're going to be right where they ended up, about 6 points out of playoff position. They ended up 2 points out of playoff position. Yeah. But that
bounce in the first round,
single digit out of playoff position, or you'll make it and get swept, and you're looking at pick 16 to 20. In hockey, where it's every year, it's a very top heavy draft in hockey. And it's
Mhm.
like, but in any sport, making the playoffs and never having a chance of going deep is the worst place you can be.
Yeah.
You're stuck. You're going to have to either make a huge splash in free agency, a huge splash in trade, or get really lucky with a guy that you're drafting panning out. But just
Yeah.
picking in that spot, you're going to be kind of just stagnant. You're going to be sitting there right there in a lukewarm team.
Shout out to Macklin Celebrini going West Coast, and we don't have to see him that much, by the way. San Jose Sharks, golly.
Oh, well, I mean, also the NHL lottery is the most rigged thing in sports.
Oh, yeah. They posted, 14 hours?
Yeah.
They had, like, the leaked lottery, and Utah gets the 6th pick or something like that. I was
So-
like, what's going on here? But
So
at least it didn't go to the Blackhawks.
yeah, the worst thing you can be is a fringe team like that or a first round exit kind of team, but you have like fan favorite assets.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
it's not just guys that like people don't want around. It's like Shady and Djax, and we didn't get anything for them. That's another thing. And then people couldn't get into the guys that they brought in because they just weren't like real. They weren't really Eagles. It was like DeMarco Murray and Byron
Yeah.
Maxwell, and those guys
Yeah.
stunk. And like the pickups we made were just brutal. So you better have, if you're getting ready to dump some like guys that are around that are playoff, they better be like not that great that no one will care, but you're still kind of an 8 seed type playoff team. Or you better have really good young players that if you get rid of these guys that people really like, you know they'll like the next guys and quick enough to kind of forget about it and just
Yeah.
be like, all right, we're in a different direction and things like that. So that was a big issue with getting rid of Shady and Djax, is that we didn't get anything for them.
Yeah.
We didn't get anyone that was anywhere near as good as them when they left for a while. And we didn't build the right way. Like it takes patience. The best teams take a little longer to get off the ground and like build something real that's not, I need to go grab a big free agent here and make a big trade there and boom, now I'm a Super Bowl team. Like we see that usually fails. So those are kinds of the things that make it difficult to move on from a fringe team, is that people might still like some of the stars and you don't have a plan to misdirect the attention that it'll get to trade them.
No.
And it is a little bit cathartic that we almost traded 3 years of draft capital to move up and select Marcus Mariota, and he lands back on the team. And it's like, there's signs here. There's signs that this guy he's asleep at the wheel. And
no, and Tom, like what you said was thinking like the worst place is being a fringe or a first round team with fan favorite guys. We saw one of the worst playoff droughts in Philadelphia sports history. I mean, not in history. We've had a long history of losing. Let's be honest. But the Phillies in their recent history had in that 10, 11-year playoff drought, you had Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Shane Victorino,
trying to just hang on. Yep.
Rollins. And you hear about stinking Ruben Amaro talks all the time that it was ownership and his own decision. He eats a little crow doing as well, saying like, yeah, we held on to these guys far too long. Like we
hard to get rid of. Same with Eagles almost did the same thing after their suit. They did it a little bit, but in way less time, giving Alshon that big extension. I mean, who could have foreseen the fall off? But he had the shoulder injury that whole year. Imagine how genius you look if you just let the guy walk in the offseason. You know what I mean? And I hate to say that because Alshon was another guy that's like, is he a legend? Like he did have that catch, but I don't know if I would put him there. He's the he's a Matt Stairs type. You know, he made that big Super Bowl catch.
Yeah.
He was a good receiver.
He's not a legend. Stop.
No, but he's not a Eagles legend.
Or whatever.
He's not a legend.
No, he's not a legend.
He made a legendary play, and and that's a guy that you say in passing, oh yeah, he's a legend. You know what I mean? But it's not like a legend.
Yeah, that was a legendary catch. Legendary catch.
Legendary moments. Zach Ertz, legend to me. Like, I don't know if my Mount Rushmore might just be 6 heads, because I need some of those elite players from that Super Bowl team to make it up on there, and then I need the elite players.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Legend.
Most single season reception in the NFL or Eagles.
I think Eagles.
No.
Well, he got beat out. I think he got beat out by he beat Westbrook's record, and then Smitty, I think, beat his as a rookie or something. So
I mean, an easy barometer here is whatever your favorite jersey sales site is. Go there, see if they're still selling Zach Ertz jerseys.
Right, and they
are. They're still
Yeah,
selling Dawkins jerseys. They're still
I
selling
think
Foles jerseys. They're
right.
not selling Shady or McCoy right now.
Yeah,
They're still selling
R-
Pete Rose jerseys
right.
for Phillies.
No, Zach Ertz has the most single season receptions by a tight end.
Oh, tight end. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
By tight end all time. 100 catches all time.
Hey.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. He was elite production. He had he was here for a pretty long time. He was here from what, 13 to 21.
Evan Engram is second
seasons?
place though, to be
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You'll see that. You'll see that. It's an inflated passing offense now, so I expect that to be broken over and over. But
yeah,
he made the game-winning catch in the Super Bowl and was super productive his whole career here. And not only that, but early in his career, he had that moment where he moved out of the way of that block, and everyone called him soft, and he bounced back and became great. And that's legendary to me.
Like the guy was the most sure hands, but he'd fall down from a stiff breeze.
Yeah,
like
he did the damn thing for us. Like
he did what he had to do.
He was that guy. Like Jason Kelsey, same thing. Like obvious legend.
He's a legend.
Come on. And I don't know. You guys might have different thoughts on it, but Donovan McNabb is the best quarterback in franchise history to me, and that's insane.
I'm closer to him than I am to you, but I don't think he's a legend.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, he's a great Eagle. He's not a legend. What
I can't.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
Best quarterback, but the Eagles
Donovan a legend. There can't be two quarterbacks on this Mount Rushmore. Big Dick is the Phillies quarterback legend.
I just think that because McNabb is the best quarterback that the franchise has. Like, he is the most completely best quarterback in franchise history to me.
Yeah, probably.
A lot of people
agree with you there.
And so the significance of the position.
Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, how many statues does Donovan McNabb have, though?
Well, he's got he's got his bust in my Mount Rushmore. That's for sure.
But also, the Eagles didn't make the Nick Foles statue.
I don't care who made it. It's still a statue.
Okay,
those are the two. To me, those like McNabb has to be included.
The promised land.
Yeah. No, Nick Foles is a legend. He's 100%, and I'm not like he's probably the guy you have to name first because he did win he won Super Bowl MVP. Like
until
that trumps
we win
all
another
stats.
Super Bowl,
Right. Like Jalen Hurts.
Derek Barnett.
No,
he recovered the fumble.
Another one of those. BG though, Brandon Graham, legend to me.
Legend. Yeah, I mean, most games played by an Eagle, entire career.
Right.
Locked the Super Bowl in. Like, obviously, you could argue they would have stopped them on that drive. But you never know what would have happened.
No, he made the play. What do you mean? He made the legend. 100%.
And he said it. Like, you got the recording of them saying, like, BG, go out there and make a play.
All right, Tom, you said at the beginning of this, you started with a list of 10, you narrowed it down to 4 to 5. Rip them off. Let's hear it.
All right, I'm good. You already know Nick Foles, Brian Dawkins, and I'll give a little bit of a summary for it too. Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP. That's his reason. Like, he's stamped because of that. Brian Dawkins, the longevity, like embodying Philly. He was like a pioneer of that, and he just
all-time
nuts.
NFL.
Right. And then on top of that, of all the performance and the leadership and all that, the guy was on a team that, I mean, like, you can never really blame any one player for the failures of a team, but that team went to 5 conference championship games and played in a Super Bowl. Like, relative to what our franchise has, that is a very significant era of winning because we only have reached the promised land in one time. The other measuring sticks of how great our teams have been are the times that we've been to the Super Bowl and lost. And that those teams were far in the playoffs even. And those teams with Dawkins as like the leader of the defense, legend to me because of just everything, the whole package. Yep. He's probably my favorite Eagle of all time too. So we got Dawkins, McNabb, Foles and McNabb, best quarterback in franchise history. To me, getting booed on stage, then coming out, proving everybody wrong, and just being the best quarterback in any franchise's history, unless it's like, I think he did. Getting booed on stage, coming out, being the guy that really like made that. It wasn't until Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb that like this team started operating a certain way, and it was on the heels of an era that was I wasn't old enough to be honest, but I hear about all this stuff with the Kelly Green is for losers and things like that. They weren't that happy with the 90s team. And I feel like the Midnight Green, Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb Eagles are going down in history. Andy Reid never won one here either, but to me, he's coaching wise, he's a legend. Just up the same thing up there with Doug Peterson for winning the Super Bowl. So, you know, like I'm not going to say that you have to win the Super Bowl to be a legend. You just really have to be part of a team that was one of the greatest teams in Eagles history. Because if we just count Super Bowls, then we only have one team, right? Yeah. It's all about relativity to what the franchise did. So you got Donovan, you got Foles. Those are my two QBs on Rushmore. You got Dawkins, right? I said Zach Ertz already. I mentioned Jason Kelce. I don't even think that needs an explanation. Zach Ertz, obviously, like I said, productive.
Then you have more than 6. You got 7 because you also said Brandon Graham.
BG, yeah. Okay, is that 7? And okay, so I got 7 right there. And I'm probably missing. Oh, and I personally think that Lane Johnson could end up like when we look back, legendary offensive. I was very attached to the Super Bowl guys, like. The guys that played for that core 4, the Lane, Kelce, BG, Cox, that is like a legend.
Yeah.
Big V. I'm not I'm not going big V. But like the first tier, you could probably just like cut it off at like Foles, Dawkins, Jason Kelce. Yeah, like if you had to go with that like first 4, and then like I like McNabb, honestly. That's my guy. I'd take McNabb. I think best quarterback in franchise history.
If we had our dads on here, like obviously they're gonna have Chuck Bednarik, Tommy McDonald, like they're gonna have Harold Carmichael,
Randall Cunningham.
Yeah.
Randall, yeah.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
When I asked like who's on your Mount Rushmore, I got probably 10-1 Randall to McNabb. Like probably I had 10-1 people like saying, and these are younger-ish people who obviously lived through both eras, and they all, 90%
Randall is more liked.
Said, give me Randall on the Mount Rushmore than McNabb.
But I'm gonna just say this. This proves my whole point. There's way more players to debate about being legends than guys, and I hate to be a hater. But Shady McCoy and Deshaun Jackson. Shady McCoy and Deshaun Jackson. Right. Shady McCoy and Deshaun Jackson do not even come up until we sort all this horse shit out. You know what I mean? Like, we need to get like a lot more sorted out before we start bringing Shady McCoy and Deshaun Jackson into the conversation. Like, if we're really talking like top tier legends, like I'm not even thinking about them for a while. Another guy I mentioned earlier on Twitter was Malcolm Jenkins. I think he has a place in history. I wouldn't, like I said, I got to narrow the list. I can't just add everybody from those Super Bowl team, but he's a guy that I would even think about. I know he won one with like the Saints too, and so it's kind of tough to call him like an OG Eagle, but he helped. He was a huge leader on that team, and he really was like the best safety we had since Dawkins to that point. So I would talk a little bit about him in that way. But again, place in history, sure, legend, Eagles legend. You got to be a little more selective, in my opinion. And it's tough to sort through that top 8 that we just talked about.
Well, and I think in order to be a legend for a team, you have to play 80 to 90% of your career in that city.
Okay,
sure.
Well, then Nick Foles isn't a legend.
He gets an asterisk for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's
but everyone else. I mean, Zach Ertz, I think
most unique.
He could be an Eagles legend if he didn't go elsewhere, and that was the Eagles' decision. They didn't want to sign him, so I'm not counting Zach Ertz as an Eagles legend because he's not an Eagle for 90% of his career.
And the same goes with Shady and Djax. Like they unfortunately
them like they didn't
unfortunately, but that is just what happened. And if that taints your view of them and that makes you think something different, then how it's just different perspective.
It's also subjective. My view on that is different than your guys.
Right.
And there's all these people out there on Twitter who they romanticize them when they got into the Eagles, and that's when Shady and Djax were tearing it up.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And it's I view it differently. You said 10, 11 people, and me and Jake are like, I don't know. And we're all the 3 of us who do this talking 215 together can't even agree on what
Right.
makes the Eagles a legend. There's
Exactly.
no way hundreds of thousands of people on
Yeah.
Twitter.
All we can agree is there's that word's thrown around too loosely.
Yes.
Too loosely, and it's really hard to like create. To be honest, it's crazy because you'd be surprised like at what really creates an in-depth conversation. Like this isn't something that I thought took this much thought. Oh, Eagles legends. Oh, that's easy. But it's like, is it really easy? Because it's tricky. There's a lot of differing opinions on what makes an actual legend. How do you define a true legend? And I just think that everyone's got their own opinion on it and own views on it. And then it comes down to like, well, was that player actually worthy of that? When we do define legend, we're like, well, Donovan McNabb, and you're like, I don't think so. I don't think he fits any criteria. And I'm like, he fits criteria for me because and you're like, I'm not sure he was even like that. Like I said, he proved everyone wrong because he got booed on stage, came back, and was one of our best players, in our generation and franchise history. And you're like, well, did he prove people wrong? Because he never really won, and he choked a lot in big games.
He proved him wrong. He is probably the greatest quarterback that the Eagles have had thus far.
Right. But I like the discourse. I like the discourse.
Jalen Hurts has a lot of time left in his contract.
Jalen Hurts, man, and then that's another thing. We're not even talking about like the test of time is going to kick some of these guys' ass because we have a team right now. And you got AJ, you got Devontae, and they're talking about, I want to retire here. These guys could be legends for real, and they've already been to a Super Bowl, so they're already checking boxes for me. They just need the longevity
they can compile in the next 3 to 4 years.
Like they're gonna break everything. They're gonna break everything.
All right, hot take. Upcoming season, Eagles legend Devontae Parker. Let's go.
Where's your X button? The red one?
not that Devontae. But no, like seriously, like here's a good question. The Eagles right now have accomplished so much. Like they never had 2,000-yard receivers in the same season. They've done it 2 years in a row now because of how good these guys are. They went to a Super Bowl already. Do you think if they just put up stats the rest of their career, you'll be able to call them legends at the end of it? Or will you be a little scorned because you felt like they should have won a Super Bowl and the fact that they didn't kind of let you down?
I guess
to the point where you can't really even romanticize it at that point.
I guess to me, it's going to come down to why did they not? Like if it was coaching,
it depends on the
like you're like no, like this was such a good.
But if they keep choking,
like ruined it. No, they could still be legends. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if it was like every time they just either came up short or like you just didn't see that same performance that you saw all season in the playoff run in the Super Bowl, you're just like, damn, like where the hell did you go? Like why aren't you showing up? Like that's
I agree.
But if they perform and they have stats in every game on every level, and you're like, damn, like this team never devoted enough energy into the defense. Like offense did its part, but the defense blew up, or like, vice versa. Then you're gonna be like, yeah, they're still legends because that's not on them.
Yeah, I mean, we can all agree that Larry Fitzgerald is a legend despite languishing away in the desert of Arizona.
Yeah, top 10.
And so it depends on the circumstance. It depends on how it shakes out.
Arguably Super Bowl MVP, even on the losing team. Like that's one of those. That was one of those. Like, damn, should Larry Fitz actually be MVP? Because like he was the best player on the field. His team just lost. Yeah. So it's like, but then that's everything that we just talked about even becomes subjective because it's like then people are like, well, was it the defense because Jalen Hurts threw a pick here? And it's like now we're getting into that. Same thing that D-Jack, Shady and all that. Like when I was talking online about them even today, they're like, well, it wasn't their fault that the team wasn't good. It was because Chip Kelly was the coach, or it was because of, the defense wasn't good or whatever. It's same thing people talk about with McNabb. He never had a wide receiver early 2000s when the defense was so good until they got T.O. and look what happened. So that all becomes subjective at the end of the day, and it'll just start more debates, which is why we love sports. It's why we talk about it and why we spend so much time on it, because it's just a lot of different opinions and it's fun.
And we got nothing but time.
No, exactly.
Nothing but time to debate all of this. So
speaking of other things we love Dewey beer. We love Tackle Up shirts. We love White Glove Car Wash. We love Bucket Golf. Great game there.
Oh, yeah.
Love our friends over at Delaware Orthopedic Specialist. Shout out Dr. Mesa, was on the episode on Tuesday. Did a killer job. Got clips of him talking about all the injuries here. And we love you, Tom. We do.
I love that too. I mean,
don't forget Just the Ola.
Oh, of course. We love just plain Ola.
Just plain Ola.
But I love Tom.
I love Dewey beer as well. I've never tried it, but I can already tell it's gonna
Dude.
taste so good when it hits my lips.
Bro,
Promise.
crispy, ice
It's
cold.
so
They
good.
got beer of every different variety. They got these
I would-
crazy like sours if you like
Yeah.
real like crap.
I actually do.
beer.
I actually do like stuff like that. No lie.
They got
I don't know.
shit, man. And then they
Eh.
got some like their El Tronos and a Mexican lager.
Yeah, we have 3
It's like
to
my
bring.
that one's like my favorite just because it's such an easy summer drinking beer.
Right.
It's summer.
Yeah, I heard some of those names. The names you guys were rattling off. Can I hear
Yeah.
those again?
We got the summer camp.
That's this
Oh,
one.
that-
This is my favorite. It's a nice 6% West Coast IPA,
We got the Swishy Pants, which is a hazy IPA.
7.5%.
Yeah,
I think. A little bit more
7.5%.
fuel efficient there.
El
Dang.
Trono. They have the VIPA that we had at the brew pub that we really like. They actually just came out with some new ones. Let me pull it up because they're coming out with new stuff
Yeah.
all the time. They really like to get pretty funky.
And then they
with
have
their,
their
with their
sour
beers.
series. So it's the same series, it's the
Yeah,
same
they have
base
the
recipe. They
Stills.
just change kind of the flavors and different releases of it. They said they're
We got
condensing it.
Stills fruit smoothie sour,
Fruit
wild
smoothie.
cherry, and wicked watermelon sours.
Dude, have you ever had a fruited sour, like one
Oh,
of those
dude.
smoothie style beers? They're
Dude,
unreal.
They're intense.
I can get on some sour kicks that'll get you going. The Secret Machine Pontoon Punch Sour. It's
I
like
love
another
it.
smoothie style. They got
When's
the
it?
double
When's
your
the tailgate?
May 19th is the next one. And we got
May
the
19th.
Camp, Summer Camp in El Trono. And then we're going to be giving out some really sweet Dewey beer hats as well.
May 19th. That's a Sunday, right?
Yeah, every Sunday we're down there. Every Sunday
Okay.
home game.
Oh, you're doing every Sunday home game for the
Every
Phillies?
Sunday home
Oh,
game
okay.
in the G lot. Yeah, they got the Taco Dealer, which is a Baja Lager, Cloud
Nice.
Realm, and it's a 20 or I read that wrong. 23%.
23%.
7.5%. Just classic Indian Pale Ale.
They got a lot of good stouts too. They got the waffle
Sunday
cone.
Fun Day, the waffle cone.
The Sunset
Stout.
Eclipse is pretty good. It's a 6%
Dude,
stout. It's on
they
the
get-
lower end.
Now, what we got to do is we got to talk to anybody. Reach out to them. Reach out to our boy Harrison over there. Reach out to
Yeah.
anybody and tell them we need a Talking 215 beer.
We do.
Tell 'em
Talking
we need to get Tom
215
in there.
X
We need
Dewey
to figure
Beer
it
Co.
out. We need to figure out kind of are we going the sour route? Are we going like a light summer lager?
I want
Yeah.
something we can funnel.
So-
Honestly,
Light,
Or
light, light,
shotgun. I need a
light
good
summer
shotgun
lager.
beer.
Dude, yeah.
Give me the lights. Give me the
lager.
light summer lager.
Give me a light
Yep.
summer lager, and we figure out what kind of Talking 215 Eagles, Phillies, like what kind of
Yep.
twist we're putting on it. But Dewey Beer, we know you're listening. We saw you tuning in on the Instagram live. Let's talk. I'm meeting with you guys on Monday. Let's talk about getting a little Talking 215 light summer lager going.
There you go.
The official tailgate beer of Philadelphia.
Let's dye it red. Dye it red for the Phillies.
Red
Yeah,
40
that'd be
a lot of black right now.
Oh.
man. You know what would be great
All right,
would
I
be
can
like
drink code red Mountain Dew. I'm fine.
What's up, Tom?
You ever hear of like an amber lager, almost like a
Oh, yeah.
Yingling or something like that? You
Yeah.
get like a Red October, a Dewey Red October for playoffs. Give me a nice a little heavy body
Listen up,
Amber-
Dewey. Listen up, Dewey. We got ideas
amber,
here.
an autumn amber ale, a little Red October, action. Come on,
Yeah.
pump that into my
Come on.
veins with Bryce Harper hitting a dinger
Get a little
right out of the pack.
A little Oktoberfest, a little red Oktoberfest beer
We'll do-
going
yeah,
on.
we'll-
Red Oktoberfest, there it
Red
is. Let's go, Red
Let's
Oktoberfest.
go,
Come
dude. You
on,
heard it here
yes.
first on
That's
Talking
it.
215.
That's it. No, that's it. Red Oktoberfest is
Yeah,
perfect.
for
Oh my
every
goodness.
home run, we're just doing an Instagram series of a shotgun and one for
Just
every
crushing
home
'em.
run.
I love
Who's
it.
driving us home? We're just sleeping in the bed of the
No, for
truck.
like every game, even for the games we're not there.
at
Every
home.
game, we're just
on the couch slumped.
I'm sneaking in a dozen to CBP. Also, not that difficult. I've snuck in plenty of beverages to CBP.
Zero hot pocket dogs though.
Yeah, no.
You need
pocket
to
dogs
get on
nuts.
those pocket dog games.
Thus far,
You said
Yeah.
27?
somewhere it's around there.
You got some work to do, bud.
I do.
I'll tell you what, I undoubtedly am going to make it to another Phillies playoff game this year. Last year, went to the first round against the Marlins and had such a good time. And I have a really good friend that's a diehard Phillies fan. And he lived in LA with me. Now he lives in Louisiana, actually. But he he's always coming back for Red October when the Phillies are good. So shout out my boy Steve. Hopefully you catch the tail end of this, and and we'll be down there. So hopefully we catch you guys at a Phillies playoff game.
Hell yeah. Tom, really appreciate it. Looking forward to, as the season starts to get closer and closer, getting you back in, getting you back more involved and everything. Obviously, you ever want to come to a Phil's game, we got a ticket for you. We got a spot at the tailgate for you. So looking forward to that. But no, shout out to all the sponsors again. Really appreciate you all making this possible.
Yep.
Shout out to Dan, our producer. He's going to be cutting this up, making it look even better afterwards. So just really appreciate everybody. And look, next one, like you said, May 19th is going to be the next one.
Come join us. We're there.
Be a good ass time. Hopefully we can finally have some good weather, as it seems like every Sunday we seem to just have the worst possible weather.
It's been cursed, but
so
we'll be there. Rain or shine, wind.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. And we hope to see you there.
That's sounds like a great time. Appreciate you guys for extending the invite, and I'm hoping for good weather for you guys too for the rest of the year. But I'll definitely have to pop by, and like they said, the guys, everyone's invited, so pop by.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot.